Very good morning, all of you. In SEM and PE, our syllabus is subdivided into two major parts. SEM is 40%, PE is 40%, and case study is 20%. In the first class, that is welcome to our classes video, I have made you write the index along with the weightage of marks. So if you see, SEM is subdivided into two parts once again, 25% and 15% weightage. Performance evaluation is again subdivided into two parts, 25% and 15% weightage. So chapter 1 to chapter 5 is 25% weightage. Chapter 6 and 7 is 15% weightage. Chapter 8, 9 and 10 is 25% weightage. Chapter 11 and 12 is 15% weightage. Now, so we are in the fourth subsegment we can call of the syllabus. Even though syllabus has been demarcated in such a manner, we cannot deny the fact that the chapters are interconnected in a very big manner. So nobody can say that if I do this 25%, I need not touch the other 15%. Because you can get a question where the question is from X chapter, but the logic connected may be from Y chapter also. For example, say there is a question on, we have done in chapter 4, life cycle costing, am I right? There we have seen how life cycle costing one question was, what should be the pricing strategy? So pricing strategy is which chapter? 7th chapter. Life cycle costing is which chapter? 4th chapter. So, sir, 7th chapter and 4th chapter both are in different parts of syllabus. You cannot argue like that because things are interconnected in a very big manner. And you cannot question the institute also when they decide to ask a question. For example, one more thing I'll tell. I told you that 8th chapter, 9th chapter and 10th chapter have a collective weightage of 25%. Don't write anything, just listen first. 8th, 9th, 10th chapter mein 25% weightage is there, right? 11th and 12th chapter collective weightage is 15%, right? Some students, they will feel that let's not waste time on 11th and 12th because it is 15%. Let us spend more time on 8, 9 and 10. I am not denying that. What that particular student feels like that, it's not wrong to focus on something which has high weightage. My only submission and request to all of you is that you focus on high weightage chapters first. I am not denying that. But the things are interconnected in such a manner that you cannot say that I will focus only on high weightage chapter. That is why when I will be sharing with you in the end of syllabus, I will be sharing something known as order of preparation. In that order of preparation, I will myself give you the order in such a manner that you cover the high weightage topics first. Correct? But I will now give you one information. See, in 8th chapter, there is a topic called as building block model. What model? On that building block model, there is a huge question. Not case study, but the question is so big that it looks like a case study. That is 20 marks category question. In that question, the first bit says perform variance analysis and perform the building block model. Now, a student who does not know standard costing, miserably he will suffer in that question. Why? Because the question is asking you to do variance analysis. Which chapter question? 8th chapter. 8th chapter ke andar 20 marks question asking you to do variance analysis. Now, without standard costing knowledge, we cannot approach that question, right? So, the knowledge of standard costing is applicable over there. Are you getting my point? Similar manner, in standard costing, there is something called as standard costing along with scarce resource. Scarce resource where we have seen while doing 4th chapter, theory of constraint, exclusively one video is on scarce resource. Exclusively. And I told you that is also going to be asked in 6th chapter also. So this scarce resource knowledge is required now from 4th chapter for 6th chapter and this chapter also. There is one concept known as standard costing and marginal costing approach. Marginal costing basics are there in 6th chapter. Obviously that knowledge is required here also. Same way, 11th chapter budgetary control also. There is variance analysis question there. So once again there you require standard costing knowledge. So what I want to tell all of you is that we cannot do selective preparation, but we can do smart preparation which is comprehensive. What is the meaning of that? Listen. In the old syllabus, standard costing used to be asked in a problematic fashion for around 16 marks or 12 marks as the case may be in the old syllabus. Problem solving ability was the primary focus there. In the new syllabus, student needs to have more conceptual understanding of standard costing, not just formula based knowledge, right? So in our particular syllabus, the amount of time we will be spending on discussing the concept, understanding the concept, logically remembering the formulas will be more than the time we spend on the problems. Instead of going for doing problem after problem blindly and facing struggle in exam, because in exam you will get a new problem. Same model, but it will be new. And logical reasoning also will be asked. As I told you till now, you are well aware how he is asking questions. First bit will be practical, second bit will be theoretical and application of the theory. So in new syllabus we can expect questions like, first bit will be calculate the variances. Student will do nicely. Second bit, interpret the variances. Interpretation. Third bit will be recommend steps to improve the company's performance. So such kind of questions are waiting for you, right? Therefore, our objective is to cover good number of questions in a model based manner. If you look at your study material, hardly in standard costing you will have not more than 7 to 8 questions, maximum 10. Is that sufficient to go to exam hall? Not sufficient. Even if I tell you it is sufficient, you will not believe me also. Because the depth of concept is so much in the study material and what we will be discussing also. That much depth of concept is not getting tested in the problems. Are you understanding? In fact, study material itself, initially when it was published in July 2017, when new syllabus was launched, it had very few questions. None of them came in the examination of May 18 and November 18. Rather than that, they picked up the old syllabus questions, did little bit of modification and converted into new syllabus question. It's very easy to convert a old syllabus question into new syllabus. Like that we have done many times in class also. Simple thing is, in old syllabus, it will be compute the variances. You add a second bit saying interpret the variances. It becomes a new syllabus question. So before we start this topic, let me inform you that concept-based understanding of formulas is required. Many of you have already had standard costing in IPCC level, CA intermediate level, where you have understood the variances in a very formula-based manner. It is not wrong. In IPCC and CA intermediate level, working knowledge is required as given by institute. The word used by institute is CA intermediate students should have working knowledge. CA final students should have expert knowledge. These are not my words. These are ICAI words. So what is the difference between working knowledge and expert knowledge? In CA inter, you know how to calculate a variance. In CA final, you should know why the variance has arisen. You should know how to calculate also. You should know why the variance has arisen also. And how to rectify that also. Are you getting my point? So, computing variances was primary objective in CA intermediate. In CA final, primary objective is Computing the variance knowledge is required, as well as analyzing that variance is important. Analyzing means what? Using the standard costing as a tool for achieving various management objectives. What are those management objectives? I will tell you. Wait for that. Before we enter this particular chapter, please be with a fresh mind. I already learned this in IPC. I remember this. Don't try to torment yourself and torture your brain as to whether you are able to remember from IPCC level or not. Because you might remember or might not remember. I am assuming that you don't know anything about standard costing, and I am starting thinking that you have zero knowledge, as if you didn't have in your IPCC level. In that manner we are going to start. The reason is, the first line of study material of CA final new syllabus, first line says, I am quoting study material, computation of variances is examinable at both CA intermediate and CA final level. But in CA final level, these are the additional points a student should know. Bolke 1, 2, 3, 4, what all concepts are given. First line of the first page of standard costing of new syllabus study material itself says that variance computation can be tested at CA inter level and CA final level also. But there is not a single question on computing the variance in your study material. So we have to construct the knowledge for you right from the base. First we should understand the background of standard costing. Then we should understand each variance, the logic behind each variance. Once you understand logic behind each variance, we can interpret the variance. Now student asks a question, sir, formulas we should remember in CA final also means. Obviously, without knowing the formula you can't calculate. Without calculating you can't interpret. How can you do interpretation without calculation? So our understanding should be from a very, very basic level, computing the variances, then analyzing the variances, interpreting the variances. So we will be spending a lot of time behind each and every variance, how it has come, why it has come, and all these things. And normally in the class, each variance formula we explain with an example and then we write the formulas, correct? But what happens is, due to the time gap between listening to the classes and writing the exam, because normally this subject student takes coaching a bit early stage, like 1 year before his exam or 1.5 years before the exam, he takes the coaching. So what I found is that in the class, when I give an example for a particular variance, students are understanding perfectly. Then they are writing the formula very nicely. They are very much comfortable. But before examination, during revision and all, when they open their books, formula is written, but that example and the explanation is not written because it is discussed. You can't write so much. So I decided that it is better to write explanation and the formula both in such a way that even if a big time gap comes, say you are listening the video today and you are opening the book for revision after 2 months or 3 months, you will have the explanation also along with an example, which will make it very, very easy for you for remembering the formulas, and standard costing revision will become very easy. So first only I am giving you a warning kind of thing that we will be writing everything including example, explanation, everything. New syllabus requires that also. In new syllabus, I can't spend 20% time on formula and 80% time on problems, because that will not help you in the exam. You trust me, all of you. I am telling you. We will be spending more time on concept, more time, and every concept will be along with an example. And it is totally practical. So you don't have to worry about whether it will be boring and all. There is no question of it being boring or dry like that. But be prepared for writing each and every explanation which I will be giving, each and every example I will be giving, and I will not dictate. I will also write along with you so that you feel a sense of interactive and a participative nature. The more we struggle in the class, that much more we will be comfortable in revision. The more you enjoy in class, the more you struggle in revision. By now, you would have understood this because you are not only handling one subject, you are all handling 8 subjects. The more you did hard work during the class, making notes, running notes, listening to class, the revision became easier. The more enjoyment you did during regular class, not listening, not making notes, you will struggle in revision. I am telling you, it may sound very, very bitter, very harsh, but I am telling you now itself. If you don't concentrate during the video classes, especially the theoretical topics, I am telling very clearly, while listening, if you don't give your application of mind, thinking that it is something which we can do later, why to write all these things, let us take a Xerox of a friend or something like that, you can do that. Say there is your friend who writes everything and you are not in a mood to write. So you will listen to all the classes like this, nicely, comfortably. Your friend writes everything, then you take his Xerox. I'm not saying you can't do that. How can I control that? But unless you write on your own, you will not be able to digest the theory. I'm telling you, if I give you my entire class notes Xerox, and you don't listen to the class and you don't write on your own, the way you will be able to handle the theory, it will be very difficult for you. It will not get digested for you. It will look like all Greek and Latin. I am telling you, it has happened. So no shortcuts, please. Please participate, and every formula, every variance, we are going to go maximum depth inside that. We will go totally deep into each variance. Then only we can interpret the variances. Okay, I am not yet started the subject. I am giving a background of how you should be mentally prepared for this subject, right? And our objective is that any chapter, not just this chapter, our class notes should be 99.99% sufficient for you, whether it is theory or whether it is problems or whether it is case study. By now you have all experienced that in first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter, where theory also we have written everything along with our analysis. And we are not leaving any case study whatsoever. Maybe 1 or 2 small case studies I would have given as homework. I remember also which case studies I gave homework till now. I think Six Sigma may one small case study homework I gave. And in environmental management accounting, one small case study, that also example of study material I gave. Other than that, every damn thing is there in your class notes. You don't have to worry at all. Coming to number of problems. We are having around 25 to 30 problems in standard costing, of which each of the problem has been selected very carefully, and we have given a model wise breakup of the formula, which you will not find in any study material. Let me explain the meaning of model wise problems breakup. This model wise problems breakup is extremely useful for the student. Listen here. This is one chapter where I have not given any printed theoretical notes. Directly I have started with the problems. I repeat, there are no printed theoretical notes like earlier chapter where, if you remember, I gave a question bank. Remember or not? This particular chapter there is no question answer format theory because it's not required, because everything we will be writing in the class. It is totally formula based chapter, so there is no point in giving you printed notes. Number 2, as you can see in front of you, problems have been divided in model based. Extremely useful before your examination. For example, model A is basic question on variances to improve the ability of student, computation ability of the variances. Are you understanding? I have not yet started. I am just giving a background. Model A, around 4 or 5 problems are there. Then we come to model B. Model B is known as reverse working model. This again we are having about 3 or 4 problems. Around 6 problems, sorry. Next, we have model C. Reconciliation statement. This is what requires computation knowledge. Directly we can't do reconciliation problem. In your study material, first question is reconciliation statement. Impossible to do this without having knowledge of basics computation of variances. Right? Each model weightage also I will be telling, which is important, which is not important, everything. Then we have a model D known as market variances and reconciliation. Extremely important. Next, planning and operational variances. Very, very important, high priority. Then we have model F, standard costing with activity based costing system. Then we have model G, standard costing and relevant costing and scarce resource. Model H, interpretation of variances. And ultimately we have model I, which is a case scenario and case study on this particular one. One last model also is there known as standard costing and learning curve. But this I will be doing along with learning curve chapter. I told you in the index itself that learning curve is an independent topic, not there separately in study material, but can be tested along with other chapters, right? So there in your module you have learning curve approach, which we'll be doing in the end. There we will be covering this model also. So when you sit for preparation before examination, this model wise, if we go for this kind of preparation, each model, if our concept is strong, happily we can face anything in exam, because all these models are from yours, directly from your study material. So all the problems of your study material, RTP and all is covered here, along with additional problems from foreign author and old syllabus, which I have converted it into new syllabus. Now concentrate. Let's now forget about how many problems are there, which page number, what we have to do. We'll come to that. Around 29 problems you have seen. In that, basics are how much? 20? Total 30 problems you have seen, but first 5 problems are basics, and therefore that will not come in exam directly. That is only for your building, concept building purpose. So effectively there are proper, if you see, around 25 effective questions are there, right? I am not saying these are ineffective. These are required for practicing the variances. And if anybody asks you in CA final, computation of variance can be asked, means the answer is yes. First line of study material says that only. It can be examinable at inter-level and final level. But computation, interpretation, analysis, everything is required, right? So that is what I wanted to tell. What is the weightage of this chapter in exam means? See, 11th chapter and 12th chapter are collectively 15% weightage. Including choice paper is 120 marks. 15% of 120 how much? If you take calculator, 18. 15% of 120 is how much? 18 or not? Come on here. 18 marks. Now concentrate here. In budgetary control, you don't have a problem based topic. It is totally theory based. So there are high chances that he will ask standard costing and connect it with budgetary control, because both are strongly interconnected. Both are coming under managerial control. That is the last portion of your syllabus. So every examination, standard costing will be definitely asked, combined with budgetary control, combined with activity based costing. Anywhere between 10 to 20 marks, definitely it can come. One entire question can come for 20 marks, or one bit of a question can come for 10 marks. Now, some students will feel like this. For 10 marks, why should I struggle so much? For 20 marks, why I should struggle so much? The answer to such question is that, see, if it comes for 20 marks, you will regret it if you struggle and if you leave and go, right? If it comes for 10 marks also, you will struggle. Why? Because listen here, A bit and B bit need not be from the same segment, right? There is a question for 20 marks. A bit is standard costing 10 marks. B bit is a simple question from just-in-time system. You prepared just-in-time very nicely and went, but you didn't do standard costing because you thought that you don't want to waste time. You thought you are smart, but actually you did overaction and went. Now what will happen to that student? You can't leave A bit in choice and solve only B bit now. Are you understanding? So opportunity cost. Opportunity cost now. What is the opportunity cost of leaving standard costing 10 marks in choice? Is that you will be able to attempt only just in time. Are you understanding? So by default, you are attempting a question for 10 marks, where you could have attempted for 20 marks. This is very common phenomenon. So both the scenarios you will suffer if you don't properly prepare and go. But as I told you, there are not many number of problems, only 25. Now when I say only 25, yeah, only 25, yeah. Not like that. Each model you do one problem. How many models are there before exam? Last minute, not now. How many models are there, you see? Each model conceptually you be perfect. Do one or two problems before exam. That's all. I will be giving you everything. Order of preparation, preparation strategy, all those things will be there. So mentally I have prepared you now for this topic. Now let us enter into this particular area known as standard costing, right? It is chapter 12 and it is coming under a topic known as managerial control in your syllabus. Managerial control is 15% weightage and this is coming under performance evaluation is the major heading of this particular topic, right? Under performance evaluation, we have managerial control for 15%. Under this 12th chapter is standard costing. Okay, na? Right. So we are not in SCM, we are in PE, that is performance evaluation. Now in this entire lecture, you are just going to listen and absorb everything whatever I am saying. Don't write anything. I will make you write also. Don't worry about that. Just go on listening to what I am saying. Okay, na? Yes. Standard costing, the name itself communicates something very, very strong and effective. Listen. In the basics of IPCC, I told you that there are various objectives of standard costing. One of the objectives of cost accounting. In the basics of IPCC, one of the major objective of cost accounting is cost control. We have seen in chapter 4 also, we have written in the class difference between cost reduction and cost control. Do you recollect or not? Right? Now, our primary focus now is on cost control and not cost reduction. Now, how standard costing will help in cost control? Is standard costing only theoretical in nature? Does it have any practical application? All these things I want to tell you. Listen. What is the meaning of cost control? Cost control is nothing but setting certain standards, setting certain budgets, and ensuring that actual performance is matching with the budget and it is as per what is expected. So cost control is all about ensuring that expected performance and actual performance are as same as possible, equal to each other. That is my primary objective. We have seen in IPCC concepts of labor that I will measure the efficiency of labor, wherein I will set certain standards and then I will measure the actuals and then I will measure my labor efficiency. What is labor efficiency formula? I have made you write in basics. AQ by SQ into 100 if you do it on units basis. SH by AH into 100 if you do it on hours basis. We have done in the class. So standard costing helps you to achieve the objective of cost control. Number one, it helps in cost control, managerial control, and has several uses. What all ways you can use standard costing is not one or two, several uses are there. In fact, in pharma sector, one of the big and large companies is Dr. Reddy Labs, right? Now in Dr. Reddy's, this pharma sector, what happens is, in their MIS, that is Management Information System, they are using standard costing as a management information system. Variance reports will be generated periodically and cost control is achieved by using standard costing. So therefore, please understand that industries are using standard costing as an effective tool. You will not believe, banks are also using standard costing. You know that? In fact, in one of ICI's campus interviews, one of the person who came was Federal Bank. Federal Bank guy who came, he asked a question on standard costing in the interview. Yes, so therefore, it is practically applicable also. Now let us take the example of a pharma company and see how standard costing is going to make the life easy, how it's going to make business easy. Once again, please listen, don't have to write anything. Now, let's take Aurobindo Pharma company as an example. Aurobindo Pharma is also a listed company, big company. It's not as big as Reddy Labs, but yeah, it's also quite a big company. It's in pharma sector. Now, let us take material first. In Aurobindo Pharma, how many types of raw materials will be there? Thousands of types of raw materials will be there because so many medical combinations, so many pharmaceutical formulas will be there. So thousands of raw materials will be there, right? Assume you are the MD of Aurobindo Pharma. Tons and tons of raw material are being purchased. Tons and tons. As a managing director of Aurobindo Pharma, I know that in my factories, so many factories across the country, across the world, so many crores of raw material are being purchased, raw material is being consumed, operating cycle is going on, raw material purchase activity, consumption activity, then again finished goods will be ready, packing, dispatching, so many activities will be there in the value chain. Now, as an MD of Aurobindo Pharma, should I not have control over my material cost? Absolutely. Can I just go on incurring material cost without any application of mind? I can't do that. I have to incur material cost according to a budget, according to a standard. So remember, when I prepare budgets, there is something known as principal budget factor. Repeat. This principal budget factor is nothing but the determining factor for all the other budgets. You see, sales budget is the deciding factor. Repeat all of you. Sales budget is the deciding factor. Sales budget will determine, concentrate, sales budget will determine how much I should produce. Every company is doing this. Based on the demand only, they will decide the production. Some people will produce more than demand to be on the safe side and keep some stocks. Some companies which follow just-in-time system, they will produce equal to the demand. You are aware of just-in-time system and all that. So what happens? Just concentrate. Aurobindo Pharma Managing Director has prepared a sales budget. Based on that, he has prepared a production budget. All this I will tell in budgetary control. Just listen now. Based on this production budget, I will know how much of raw material is required. And I am not talking of one or two raw materials. I am talking of hundreds and hundreds, thousands of raw materials will be there. That raw material I have to consume now. If I have to consume, I have to purchase now. So from raw material consumption, determined raw material purchase. Understand the flow, everyone? Sales budget determined the production budget. Production budget determined the raw material consumption budget. Raw material consumption determined the raw material purchase, right? Now, I have to make a order, purchase order to all my vendors, and they have to supply the raw material to me. Large quantities, crores of rupees are involved. Should I not have a control over my material? Yes, I need to have. What kind of control I am talking about? Two important areas. Visualize. Two managers will be involved as far as material is concerned. One manager's name is purchase manager. One manager's name is production manager. Purchase manager's responsibility is to ensure that the entire procurement activity goes on smoothly. The activity of purchasing, the inbound logistics, come on, value chain, you are all aware. Raw material handling, storage, everything is part of inbound logistics. Purchase manager will be given the task of negotiating with the suppliers. Again, chapter 1, bargaining power of the buyers. Michael Porter's 5 forces, chapter 1. This is chapter 12. All are interlinked. Purchase manager will be told to bargain properly and try to get the best price possible. So I will communicate to purchase manager the price related data for the raw material. Obviously, raw material purchase price needs to be controlled. Only then I will be able to meet my budget and achieve my profits. Is raw material price the only issue? Is price the only thing I have to take care of? Means what? If I am able to bargain a good price with my supplier, can I sleep now? Can I forget about raw material? Or is there another dimension also? Remember, there are two risks associated with raw material. One is paying more than the standard price, using more than the standard consumption. Remember two things. If price of raw material is important to be controlled, usage of raw material is equally important. Usage of raw material needs to be done carefully. My workers cannot waste the raw material. In my factory, they can't be careless. Normal loss is acceptable. Abnormal loss is not acceptable. Where we learned this? Basics of IPCC, material law, normal loss, abnormal loss. Normal loss is acceptable because definitely you can't avoid that. It is unavoidable. But abnormal loss, if I don't control the usage, how will I know whether he is using properly or not? I need to have a control over the price of the raw material as well as usage of raw material. Otherwise, the managing director of Aurobindo Pharma cannot sleep peacefully in the night. He cannot sleep. Thousands of raw materials are there. Let us take example of one of the raw materials so that you understand. Concentrate now. I said listen, don't write. Coal. I am taking one raw material. Thousands are there. I am taking one. Coal is important raw material for Aurobindo Pharma. Now some students are wondering what this fellow is telling. That they are manufacturing medicine, gada. How coal is coming here? See, coal will not be put in the medicine, but coal is used in the heating process, and only at certain degrees of temperature you can make certain medicines, right? So one raw material is coal. Now, practically I am saying, because I am associated with the logistics part of this company in my practice, that's the reason I am saying. See what Aurobindo Pharma does. It is real facts I am giving you. They will import coal from Australia, right? From Australia, they import the coal, and that comes in a big container ship to Visakhapatnam port, known as Vizag port will be there. Na? There it comes. After coming to Vizag port, there are lorries, road transport, freight transport. From Vizag, it is transported to different plants. There is one plant in Pasha Mailaram area in the outskirts of Hyderabad. Like that, several plants are there. Now, to tell you the importance of this, listen. How much money Aurobindo Pharma spends, you know? So that you will understand importance of standard cost. They spend per annum 50 crores on the transportation of coal, not coal. Transport cost is 50 crores per annum. Imagine what will be value of raw material. Yes or no? Now you understood the money that is involved. Now, the managing director of Aurobindo Pharma is very much worried because the coal needs to be consumed in a proper manner. If coal is getting carelessly wasted, or if any pilferage is happening, means what? Some supervisors, some workers are stealing away the coal, because Australian coal is high quality. From there you will get the bituminous lignite category of coal. There are different grades of coal, okay na? High quality coal is possible only in Australia. In India you have coal, but that high quality is there in Australia. Now, can managing director of Aurobindo Pharma exercise cost control by manually going and visiting all these ports, watching all the lorries and all that? Is that the job of managing director? Daily morning take a flight, go to Visakhapatnam port, count how many lorries are getting dispatched, see how many tons are there in the lorry. At the time of dispatch, how many tons are there? While going there, how many tons are there? Can he manually keep sitting and calculating all these things? When will he do his other jobs? Much important job. Imagine there is a board meeting and managing director is not present. Why? Because he's in Visakhapatnam port counting the lorries. So please understand, standard costing is the most important tool for cost control. There cannot be a better tool than standard costing. I'll tell you why. Because sitting in his administrative office, by the click of a button, he can generate the variance reports and he can control his cost thanks to standard costing. How he will do that, I will explain. Now tons and tons of coal are coming. Managing director wants to have control over all these things. Now what he will do is, first of all, managing director will discuss with the production team and determine standards for input consumption. Repeat, all of you. Standards for input consumption will be determined. Right? Listen carefully. What he will do is, he will call a scientist who is an expert in pharma sector. Mostly such people will be from Japan or from Singapore. This scientist will come to the factory and he will study the processes. He will study all the processes and he will determine an input-output ratio. For our understanding, let us assume that scientist has decided that 10 kg of coal must be heated as an input for obtaining 1 box of medicine. Just our example. What is the ratio? 10 kg coal should be consumed for heating and obtaining 1 box of medicine. Right? Now, managing director of Aurobindo Pharma is very, very relaxed because he has informed all his production managers that the standard consumption is going to be, 10 kg of coal to obtain 1 box of medicine. Are you all understanding? Okay, na? Now the point is, once I give this to my production managers, I am a very relaxed person. Say January 2020, 1 month is over. On February 1st, the production manager will conduct a review of what happened in January. He will find out how much boxes of medicine was sold. He will ascertain the sales first. Based on the sales, he will reverse calculate and calculate production. All of you know that sales is nothing but opening stock plus production minus closing stock. Is it correct? Same way, production is equal to sale minus opening stock plus closing stock. Is it clear? So sales may say he will reverse calculate the production. Are you understanding? Plus there will be records also. In factory, sheets will be maintained. Daily quantity of production will be recorded. That's not a problem. Say for example in January 2020, let us assume example, 5,000 boxes were produced. Try to understand. 5,000 boxes were produced actually. Now, immediately managing director knows that the scientist from Japan has come and told me already that 1 box ke liye you have to use 10 kg of coal. Am I right? 10 kgs of coal multiplied into 5,000 boxes will give me 50,000 kg of the coal. Right? What is 50,000 kg of coal? This is the expected consumption of raw material. Are you understanding? Then I will ask the production manager, my dear production manager, tell me what quantity of opening stock you had, how much quantity of coal you purchased, what is closing stock as on 31st January. Opening stock as on 1st January, purchase quantity during January, closing stock as on 31st January. Easily I can calculate accurately because these are all figures which cannot be manipulated. Am I right? Now, opening stock plus purchase minus closing cost stock if I do, I will get raw material consumption. Where I told you this formula while doing cost sheet first day. Okay, na? So, raw material actual consumption I got to know that 62,000 kgs was consumed. 12,000 kg excess consumption has happened as compared to the expected consumption. Expected consumption is 50,000. Actual consumption is 62,000. There is a variance of 12,000 kgs. immediately I will do a review and investigate why it has happened. That is a separate game altogether. But have I exercised control? Yes. Sitting in my office, managing director, by clicking a button on his computer, by looking at the variance reports, by looking at the standard costing statements that are prepared, can exercise this level of control not only on one raw material, but each and every raw material. How many rows and columns are there in Excel sheet? Yes, so many raw materials I can have a control with the help of this wonderful topic known as standard costing. Now, the important message from this example is, can you tell me what is 50,000 kgs? 50,000 kg is actual consumption or standard consumption? Standard consumption, concentrate here, standard consumption for the actual output. Standard consumption for the actual output. Remember this. It is a thumb rule of standard costing. What rule? Thumb rule. Very important. Repeat after me. Standard means standard for actuals. Repeat. Actual. Actual what? Actual production. Actual performance. Are you understanding? Actual output is the basis for standards. So that is why we call these 5,000 boxes as the oxygen supply for standard costing. Oxygen. Without oxygen you cannot live. Without this particular data you cannot do standard costing. What data? Actual output. Actual production. For the actual production only I will calculate what should have happened. What is my standards? Understand everybody, please. The data of 50,000 kg is a standard data. Are you understanding? Yes. Now listen. Say for example, for January 2020, budgeted production will be there, na? Production budget will be there, na? Budgeted production is 8,000 boxes. How many boxes? Now you answer the question. Should I calculate standard consumption for 5,000 boxes or 8,000 boxes? 8,000 or 5,000? 5,000. In the question also, many times he will give budgeted production and he will give actual production. Please remember that we must calculate standard always for actual. Please be very careful. Why? Because then only you can facilitate a proper cost control. You cannot say for 8,000 boxes, standard is 80,000 kgs and compare 80,000 kg with 62,000 kg. It is foolish to do such things. Standard costing may first thumb rule is standard data always refers to standard data for actual production. Will you remember this? Now, so tell me, we should calculate standard consumption of raw material for 5,000 boxes or 8,000 boxes? 5,000 boxes. How much you should have consumed? 50,000 kg. How many you actually consume? 62,000 kg. How much is adverse? Why I am calling it adverse? Because it's a loss. If it's a gain, it is called favorable. So this 12,000 kg I will investigate. I will ask the production manager what is the reason for this. Now listen. Now I asked the production manager what is the reason for this. He told me, sir, this loss is because of processing. This loss is because of processing loss. He says that, sir, whatever is quantity of input will not be equal to quantity of output. Sir, it is normal loss, sir. It is processing loss, sir. Don't blame me, sir. I have not done anything wrong. Then he told me one more thing. Sir, when the lorry of coal starts in Vizag, quantity will be there, na? By the time it reaches my factory in the Pasha Mailaram, wherever your factory is there. Pasha Mailaram is the name of the place. By the time coal reaches my factory, lorry has traveled 700 kilometers, 800 kilometers. There is a quantity loss during transport also, sir, because of spoilage, because of loss during transportation. I have lost some coal. That also is a reason, sir. I am a very efficient manager. I have not done anything wrong. Like that, production manager is telling me. Now I will tell him, my dear production manager, I will not accept your point. Why? You will not accept the production manager's point. Why? Managing director will tell him, my dear production manager, while setting the standard, I called a scientist from Japan, I called a scientist from Singapore who studied the entire process and given me a 10 kg of input for 1 box of medicine ratio. While setting that standard, already we have adjusted for normal loss. Remember, the standard is already adjusted for normal loss. Means what? I told you in basics of IPCC also, normal loss is not a loss. It is part of the cost. I will tell him, my dear production manager, I am already aware of normal loss. 10 kg is required for 1 box. This is given by scientists from Japan. He has already considered that in the 10 kg, around 1.5 to 2 kg will be lost in the processing. He already considered that, say about not half kg, say 50 grams will be part of transportation loss while transporting. I am talking about out of 10 kg, 50 grams will be lost. All this consider ho gaya. All this already considered in the 10 kg itself. Are you understanding? So, in this 10 kg, already normal loss is considered. Means what? In spite of normal loss, in spite of processing loss, in spite of transportation loss, you are supposed to consume only 10 kg for 1 box. Another message of this example is that normal losses are adjusted in the standard itself. Normal loss can never be a reason for variance. Normal loss can never be a reason for variance, because what is the meaning of variance? Variance is nothing but 50,000 versus 62,000. 50,000 is standard, 62,000 is actual. Are you understanding? Standard versus actual is nothing but variance. That standard already incorporated the normal loss also. Again, you can't blame normal loss, na? In spite of normal loss, you are supposed to consume only 50,000 kg for 5,000 boxes. Please repeat this statement. In spite of normal loss, you are supposed to consume 50,000 kg for 5,000 boxes. Are you understanding? So that means what? This 12,000 kg of abnormal loss is because of effectiveness of your workers, carelessness of workers, inefficiency. Another reason may be quality of the raw material is bad. Are you understanding whatever I am saying? So all these comes under what criteria of material? Price or usage? Usage. Are you understanding? Same way I will keep a control over the price of raw material also. Who is responsible for price of raw material? Bole to purchase manager. Price has to be kept under control. Quantity also has to be kept under control. Are you understanding how standard costing is helping as a big blessing for the pharma industry? Are you understanding, all of you? Not only pharma industry, even in infrastructure sector also, very much useful. Standard costing is a multi-purpose technique. I don't think it is restricted only to cost accounting. It is not restricted to management accounting. Anybody and everybody who is associated with business can use standard costing. I'll explain how. Number one, standard costing is useful for controlling your costs. Did you all understand that properly? Number one, cost control may useful hai, very useful. Secondly, what is the name of this chapter? Standard costing. It is which chapter? 12th chapter. It is coming under which part of your syllabus? Performance evaluation. What is the reason? Why standard costing is under performance evaluation? I don't know. You should answer here. Come on, think. You should ask such questions. Not just what will come in exam. Is this important? Those doubts anyhow you will ask. You should ask such doubt also. Why this chapter is under performance evaluation? Why? Because remember, when I do variance analysis, When I do variance analysis, I am measuring the performance of my workers. Are you understanding? When I do the material variances, I measure the performance of my purchase manager and production manager. So, with the help of standard costing, I can do a performance evaluation. Which manager is working effectively, who is not working effectively, who needs to be rewarded, who needs to be penalized, who needs to be removed, who needs to be motivated. So many information I'll get. So it is useful for cost control, yes. It is useful in performance evaluation, yes or no? When cost control is used in performance evaluation, it becomes managerial control. Are you understanding? Managerial control is the name of this 11th chapter and 12th chapter division of your index, yes or no? So cost control, it is helpful. Performance evaluation, it is helpful. Managerial control, it is helpful for so many businesses. Are you understanding? It is useful for chartered accountant also. How chartered accountant can use standard costing? Think all of you. Think all of you. When you pass your CA and say you are starting your practice, you will be having various assignments in which statutory audit of companies, stock audit of companies will be there. Now, when you are doing a statutory audit of a company to which CARO is applicable, I think latest CARO has come also, some new changes have been made and all that. Again, it may undergo some change. So I will not write 2020, 2019 because in the future more changes may come. You are all aware of CARO reporting. In your auditing, you are having a CA final auditing in the first group. CARO reporting may, one of the point is, I think first point, where you have to mention about the inventory, whether the raw material, that is a inventory, whether it is periodically, whether they are verifying the physical inventory or not. You have to mention this in CARO, am I right? It's not there, right? It's removed. Huh? Is it there or not there? Come on. It's there. Yeah, of course. So, verification of inventory you have to do. So, as part of your statutory audit, you need to ensure that raw material inventory, finished good inventory is reflected properly in the books. Am I right? Now, how to do a raw material audit, stock audit means, two ways are there. Physical stock taking is number one. When I do physical stock taking, I will know exactly how much quantity of raw material is there. Am I right? Now, same way I can do something known as analytical review procedures also. I think analytical review procedure is there, SA 520 or something. Yes, in analytical review procedure what I do, I try to do more of analysis rather than substantive procedures. Physical stock taking is not analytical procedure. It's a substantive, exhaustive. You have to go perform that activity and come back. Now, say you are doing audit of a company. You went and asked the managing director or the finance manager to give you information about input-output ratio of the company. You came to know that 3 kgs are required for 1 unit, right? Then you ask the management to give you a determined detail on how much of production they have done. So you ask them to give a managerial representation. For that also an auditing standard is there. So you took a representation from the management clarifying about how much units they have produced. Management informed you that they have produced 20,000 units. Are you understanding? You did reverse calculation. For 20,000 units, 3 kgs means 60,000 kg of raw material should have been consumed. Am I right? This is standard consumption. Then you did another analysis. You took opening stock of raw material based on last year audited financials plus quantity of raw material purchased you got from purchase department. Closing stock of raw material you have done physical stock taking na? Hello. You know everything accurately. Opening plus purchase minus closing stock kareto, I got 80,000 kgs of raw material as raw material consumption. Red-handed I have caught the management in my audit. Sitting in the office only. Did I go to the factory? No, sir. In fact, physical stock taking you need not do as a stat auditor. Another chartered accountant might have done stock audit or internal auditor might have done stock audit. You can take that fellow's stock audit report also. Using the work of another auditor is also a standard of auditing. Right? Input output ratio 3 kg is required for 1 unit. You don't have to calculate that. Management will give you that based on a scientific estimate be given by a scientist. 3 kgs for 1 unit. So using the work of expert also is a standard of auditing. Are you understanding? You had this in IPCC also. Now I am having so much knowledge during my audit without going to the factory thanks to standard costing. I am using standard costing as part of SA 520 analytical review procedures. I am collecting audit evidence with help of standard costing, SA 500 audit evidence. Yes, and when I do my CARO reporting, I have to mention whether they are properly safeguarding the inventory. I will write negatively about that. I am not happy with the way inventory is being maintained here. I will ask questions now. I will write letter to management and ask them why you have consumed 80,000 kg when your own standard is 60,000 kg. Without moving from my office, I have done this. It is such a useful tool, standard costing, even for a chartered accountant. The article student who is working in any CA office can use this technique. I don't have to go anywhere. Now what answer he will give me? What explanation he will give me? Somewhere some data is wrong, or somewhere some stock has been pilfered, or some stock has been lost. So I will give the management two options. Either you record 20,000 kg as a loss. Don't put it part of consumption. Many organizations, they don't recognize abnormal loss of material as a loss. Yes, you are doing articles. Tell me, how many companies P&L you have seen loss of raw material debited to the P&L account as a separate item of expenditure, not as raw material consumption? Hello. You will not find a single company also. Why? Negative image. Banker will see. Income tax fellow will see. If a banker sees loss of raw material debited 20,000 kgs, say 20 lakhs raw material has been written as loss of raw material, banker will get shocked because banker gives you working capital based on your stock and debtors. Your CC limits are determined based on that. Thanks to standard costing, red-handed you can catch the company like this. 20,000 kg, where it has gone? Ask him. Does he have an explanation? Either your standards are wrong or recognize the loss. I will give him two options. As per standard, you have to consume 60,000 kg. Actual consumption is 80,000 kg. He cannot doubt my figures also because my figures are based on his information only. So therefore, somewhere something is wrong. I will ask him two questions. Either revise your standard, accept that your standard is wrong. No company will be willing to accept that also. Or you investigate and tell me where the 20,000 kg has gone. Is there a mistake in the stock audit report? Tell me. I will agree. Is there some change in the quality of the raw material because of which you have consumed more? Give me the clarity. Whatever he informs, I will include it part of my audit report. When I give my audit report, I will write. I'm not saying qualify the report. As professionals, we need not be so aggressive also. But we can definitely give a emphasis of matter in the audit report. You are all having in your IPCC. EOM paragraph you are having. I will tell the management to give a notes to accounts where they have to write that 20,000 kg of raw material was lost due to poor handling, or 20,000 kg excess consumption due to poor quality. And in my audit report, I will give emphasis of matter and I will say, we invite your attention to the note number so and so given in the financial statements. From where we have gone, where you see? From material control using standard costing, we went to audit report, emphasis of matter paragraph. Can you imagine the range in which you can use standard costing? We covered using the work of auditor, using the work of expert, SA 520, SA 500, what not. So standard costing is useful for the chartered accountant also. Don't think that it is only for internal purposes of management. Remember this. It is very useful for cost control, managerial control, performance evaluation as well as for an auditor to examine what is going on in that company. Not only that, standard costing is also important and useful for reconciliation of profits. For example, Aurobindo Pharma prepared a budget. I said, listen, don't write. Prepared a budget, and in that budget, the budgeted profit of Aurobindo Pharma is 10,000 crores. Now, what is profit? Sales minus cost. Budgeted sales minus budgeted cost is 10,000 crores. Actual profit has come as 8,500 crores for a particular period. Now, managing director is asking a question. Why there is a variance in profit of 1,500 crores? Two reasons are possible. One, sales reduce ho gaya, cost increase ho gaya. Two possibilities are there. Now, cost means what all? Material, labor, variable overhead, fixed overhead. Are you understanding? Sales means what? Revenue. In revenue also there may be variances. So standard costing covers not only cost variances, it covers revenue variances also. Revenue also can be a reason. Na? In revenue again, two possibilities are there. Selling price ka variance, sales volume related variance. Are you understanding? So therefore, I will do all these variances. Sales price related, sale volume related, material price related, material usage related. Labor also. Labor rate also may affect. Labor efficiency also may affect. Are you understanding? All these variances I will calculate and I will prepare a variance report. That is extremely important in your new syllabus. Means what? I will tell, my dear Aurobindo Company Managing Director, I have mailed you one statement. You see that? In that you have all the details and you will know why your profit is only 8,500 crores, why it is not 10,000 crores. And how I will prepare reconciliation? I will say budgeted profit is 10,000 crores. Then at the ending I will write actual profit is 8,500 crores. Just like your bank reconciliation statement format. Then I will say this much is because of material, this much is because of labor, this much is adverse, this much is favorable. Remember, there can be favorable variances also. Favorable variances will increase the profit, adverse variances will decrease the profit, adverse variances needs to be minus, favorable variances needs to be added. Are you understanding? Each variance will give a information to me. After variance report is prepared, one more step will be there. What is that step? Interpreting the variance. Why that variance has come? Unless and until I have a variance report in front of me, I will never know. Interpret each variance. Material variance is responsible, labor variance is responsible, sale variance is responsible. Unless and until I know that, I can never do performance evaluation also. Don't forget, the major heading of this topic is performance evaluation. Are you understanding? I will know the performance of which manager is how much. If there is a favorable variance, manager has contributed to my profits. If there is adverse variance, the manager has eroded my profits. A manager who contributes to my profit will be considered for promotion, bonus, incentive. A manager who has eroded my profit will be considered for termination. No, what is this? Articleship or what? A manager who has eroded my profit will be considered for questioning, investigation, and then we will be asking him to rectify the mistake. Remember, again in the process of investigating the variances, there may be some variances which are controllable, there may be some variances which are uncontrollable. Remember, the important thumb rule for performance evaluation is that you cannot blame a manager for something which is not under his control. Yes or no? Are you following? If you remember, in first chapter we have done one case study. First chapter. In that case study, there was copper wire rods was there in one case study. Remember? Yes? I think the name of the company was DP Limited. In your module 1, you can check and confirm immediately. DP Limited, listen here. In that problem, what happened? Case study, what happened? Procurement team was not buying the copper only because price of copper was falling. More price falls, more cost saving, more bonus was there. DP Limited, name of company. Sir? Page number 1515. You see later. Now watch here. What did we write there in that case study? Presently, performance evaluation is not appropriate because they are trying to take advantage of uncontrollable reason like fall in the price of copper in the London Metal Exchange, if I am not wrong. London Metal Exchange mein price was falling. It's not because of the efforts of the managers. So what did we write there? Performance management should be in such a way that the reward or punishment should be only for things which are under the control of the manager. So variance computation, listen, variance computation, next variance reporting. After variance reporting, we should do variance analysis. Why? Because of these reasons. Variance analysis will help me in performance evaluation. Which manager is performing how? Second, it will help me to know how much is because of controllable reason, how much is because of uncontrollable reason. I cannot punish him for uncontrollable variance now. Say for example, raw material is there. Raw material for the company is say steel, infrastructure company. Steel prices increased in the market because of international factors and inflation. Assume. Can you blame him? You can't blame him. Steel price increased because freight increased. Freight increased because diesel increased. Diesel increased because government increased. Government increased diesel, diesel increased freight. Freight is part of raw material cost. Accounting standard 2, IPCC. Freight inverse. Now you can't blame the purchase manager. Na? So controllable, uncontrollable. One more important point I'll tell, listen. After calculating all the variances only, you must do variance interpretation. Why? Beautiful concept. Listen. Are variances independent or the variances are interdependent? I said don't write anything, answer the question. Think for a couple of minutes. There is a very important topic in your syllabus known as interdependence of variances. Think and tell. Variances are independent, interdependent. Come on. Will variances affect each other or they are independent? Come on, think. Now I am asking, will variance affect each other or independent? Answer. Think logically. Formulas and all we will write, don't worry. Very important for your examination, this point also. Now, for material, what are the two aspects I was telling you? Price related aspect and consumption, that is nothing but usage related aspect. Am I right? Now, price related variance is whose responsibility? Purchase manager. Usage related is whose responsibility? Production manager. Will these two variances affect each other or will not affect? Answer the question. Will not affect or will affect means? The answer is there is a possibility that they may affect. They are interdependent. I am not saying they will affect. I am not saying they will. They definitely may affect. Are they interconnected? Yes. Are they interdependent? Yes. Will they always affect? No. May they affect? Yes. Understood? Now, how means, listen. I told my purchase manager to follow a particular price. I told my usage manager to follow a particular consumption standard. Am I right? Let us assume that I told my production manager that your standard consumption is 60,000 kgs. But he ended up consuming 80,000 kgs. How much kg he has consumed more? 20,000 kg more. Is it adverse or favorable? Loss or gain? Normal loss or abnormal loss? You are thinking, You are thinking to answer that question, You should not think also. Variance is always abnormal loss. Please. Don't make such mistake here. Mistake also, one standard mistake let us make here. Okay, na? Is it normal loss or abnormal loss? Now concentrate everyone. 20,000 kg adverse. So definitely this variance will be adverse variance. Now I called my purchase manager, price manager. I asked him what is your variance. He said, sir, you told me to buy for 50 rupees per kg. I asked him, what did you do? Sir, I bought it for 40 rupees per kg. I think I deserve a bonus. He bought it only for 40. He saved how much? 10 rupees I saved for the company, sir. I deserve a bonus, sir. He says. Then I told him, hello, I know that you bought for 40 rupees instead of 50 rupees, but it is not your hard work. It is not your hard work because production manager is consuming 80,000 kg na? Instead of 60,000 kg. So, since production manager consumed 80,000 kg, which is 20,000 more than 60,000 kg, you also went and purchased 80,000 kg na? What purchase manager will purchase, production manager will consume. Let us assume there is no opening stock, closing stock. Okay na? So I will tell him, my dear purchase manager, you purchased 80,000 kg from your supplier instead of 60,000 kg. If you purchase more, your bargaining power will be more. Michael Porter's 5 forces. Because you purchased more, you are able to bargain. I will give you the credit. But don't say that I should be a happy businessman because for me, here 20,000 loss ho gaya. And your bargaining power was affected by production manager. So adverse usage may be a reason for favorable price variance. Are you understanding? The interdependence of variance. Clear all of you? Remembering the formula is simple. Understanding the logic required in new syllabus. So adverse usage variance is always responsible for favorable price variance. No, not always. Maybe. So that is why interdependence of variances. Are you understanding what I am saying? Same way vice versa also possible. Vice versa how possible I will tell. Without changing one figure also I will tell. I will change the story. Now listen. I called the purchase manager first. Okay. Earlier I told about production manager first. Then I told about purchase manager. Now story change ho gaya. Logic will be same. But situation change. Listen. I called purchase manager. Come here. How much you are supposed to buy for 50 rupees? You bought for 40 rupees. Are very good here. You save 10 rupees for me. Price variance will be favorable. Agreed? Then I called my production manager. Listen all of you, very interesting. I called production manager, I asked him, you are supposed to use how many kgs? 60,000. How many did you use? Sir, 80,000. 80,000? Adverse variance. 20,000 kg adverse. Then I scolded my production manager. See the purchase manager, how nice he is. He got me favorable variance. You are a fit for nothing production manager, consuming 20,000 kg more, resulting in adverse variance. What are you doing? Then production manager says, sir, please ask that purchase manager to buy from reliable suppliers. Please ask him to buy from suppliers who give defect-free raw material. JIT system, 3rd chapter. Defect-free raw material is a precondition for JIT system. Production manager will say that, sir, I was not deliberately using 80,000 kg. I was forced to use 80,000 kg instead of 60,000 kg because your wonderful purchase manager went and bought cheaper raw material just because he was offering 40 rupees. Are you understanding? So purchase manager bargained for 40 rupees with another supplier who gave inferior quality of raw material, resulting in favorable price variance. But the favorable price variance was because of bargaining for cheaper quality of raw material. Because of cheaper quality of raw material, my usage became adverse. Are you understanding? So favorable price variance may impact adverse usage variance. Did you understand both the examples? One was bargaining power related example. One was quality related example. Now tell me, variances are independent or interdependent? Are they capable of influencing each other? There is a question in new syllabus material. There is a question where he will ask you to calculate first 3 bits calculate variances, 4th bit is interpret the variances. That question is on labor variances. Labor variance also are independent or interdependent? Interdependent. I will tell that also, listen. No need of formula knowledge, just basic common knowledge. Listen. Let us take labor. Beautifully we can interlink. Listen now. In labor, two issues are going to play a role. One is the wage rate that I am paying to labor. Don't write, listen. Another is efficiency of the labor. Are you understanding that? Just like in raw material we have price related and quantity related. Labor we have wage rate related, efficiency related. Now excellent, listen. My labor efficiency is coming favorable. Labor efficiency, you are aware? What is the formula in IPCC basics? SH by AH into 100. Remember or forgot? Labor efficiency came favorable. Means what? They performed below the standard or above the standard? Please answer here. Wage rate variance came adverse. Is there any connection between a favorable efficiency and adverse rate variance? Is there any connection between favorable efficiency and adverse rate variance is my question. Yes. Now I will show the link. Please concentrate. Labor efficiency is favorable. I did not expect that it is going to be favorable. When I prepare a budget, I prepare based on standards, expecting that worker will perform according to standard. Now when a worker efficiency is favorable, we will give him bonus. IPCC labor, CA inter labor chapter ke andar we had, what is that fellow's name? FW Taylor piece rate bonus system. Then we had Merrick's differential piece rate system. Emerson's time rate system. Emerson time rate, correct. Next. Halsey, Rowan. Then we had one Bidu also. Everybody left in, nobody used to read this, but there used to be one Bidu also. Bidu mein X is silent. Bidu point system bolke one system was there. Many students never used to study this because in practice manual there was no question on that. Okay na? Now come back. So now I am paying them bonus na. I will pay them bonus or not, I did not know at the time of preparing my standards. Because of paying them bonus, my wage rate, actually what I paid is more than the standard wage rate. Actual wage rate became higher because of bonus. Bonus is there because of efficiency. I did not know while setting the standard. So therefore, favorable efficiency variance can be a reason for adverse rate variance. Are you understanding? Paying more than the standard wages may be because of efficiency of the workers resulting in a bonus. Are you understanding? Now another question for you. Efficiency can be adverse also? Yes. Efficiency is adverse. Yes. That time maybe rate may be favorable if I am giving penalty. Who gives penalty, you know? In all the bonus system we learnt in IPCC, only FW Taylor is one Hitler fellow who gives penalty to the workers. I remember if efficiency is below 100%, FW Taylor says give 83% of the piece rate wages. What is 83% of piece rate? We don't know, sir. We learnt that's all in IPC. 83% piece rate wages means 17% minus ho gaya, penalty. Are you understanding? 17% penalty means 83% of wages. Are you understanding? So, efficiency labor and rate of labor can be influenced, can influence each other. Will you agree or not? I have another question for you. Can material variance impact labor variances? Think all of you. Can material variance impact labor variance? Think all of you. Yes. How you know? Listen here. My labor efficiency is adverse. Let us assume. Labor efficiency adverse means performance is above standard or below standard. I asked my supervisor, why labor efficiency is so bad? Why labor efficiency below standard? I got an answer that, sir, our workers are efficient, sir. quality of raw material is bad, so they have taken more time. Material has influenced labor. Are you understanding? Material has influenced labor. Clear, all of you? So don't read variances in isolation. Read them holistic fashion. That is why interpretation of variances we will be writing for each variance and connecting all the variances, because interdependence is there. So when I make you write labor efficiency variance reasons, interpretation, one of the reason can be poor quality of raw material also. Are you understanding or not? So be very, very careful in the examination also when you are writing about interdependence of variance. The heading of the topic is known as, in your study material, possible interpretation and interdependence. Possible means students should visualize and write what all can be possible reason for that variance, and also interdependence you have to write. Sales variance also are interdependent. In sales variance in sales variance, two categories will be there. One is price related, one is volume related. Price and volume variances will affect each other or not? Arey sir, this is to sida CPT economics. Price and demand link or not? Hello. Price and demand are inversely proportional. Price variance favorable, volume variance adverse. Possible. I'm not saying that is the only reason. Please understand. Maybe. Understood? Price variance is favorable means what? You sold for a higher price than what was budgeted. What happened? Demand fall ho gaya. Sale units less ho gaya. You sold less number of units. Sale volume variance adverse. Are you understanding? Same way reverse also. Idu adverse, idu favorable. Possible. Volume favorable. Sold huge volume compared to budget. But to sell huge volume you gave discount. So price was lesser. Price adverse. Can sale volume variance be affected by any other variance? Yes. Yes. How? I will be telling you separately while doing scarce resource. If you remember, I told you in theory of constraint chapter mein one video exclusively on scarce resource. What did I tell you there? Loss of scarce resource will result in loss of production, which will result in loss of sales, which will result in loss of contribution. Promise and tell whether you remember or not. Yes or no? Which chapter? Theory of constraint, fourth chapter. Sorry, no, that is second chapter. Theory of constraint is second chapter, not fourth chapter. I said fourth chapter by mistake. Second chapter theory of constraint may we have seen concept of scarce resource. So loss of scarce resource may result in loss of sale. So sale volume may be affected because of loss of material. If material is a scarce resource. Are you understanding? Are you understanding what I am saying? So materials are interdependent. Variances are interdependent. One variance may influence another variance. So the moral of the story is that standard costing is a topic which has multiple uses. To conclude today's discussion, what all points we have discussed is that, number one, standard costing is useful for cost control, managerial control. Aurobindo Pharma example I shared with you. It is very much useful for performance evaluation because I can know what is controllable variance versus what is uncontrollable variances. Third, it can be used as part of auditing by way of analytical review procedures. I gave you the example of how you can do that. Next, we have seen that variance computation is going to then result in variance reporting. After variance reporting, variance analysis. In variance analysis, we have interpretation of variances, interdependence of variances, investigation of variances, controllable versus uncontrollable variances. All this will come under that. So overall, this video is exclusively to give practical angle to standard costing. Whatever we have discussed, we are going to start writing in our next class. You can have a break and come. The next class we are going to make notes. Initially we will be discussing variance computation, a bit of analysis, then variance reporting, and one by one all the models will be covered. Did you all understand? Now have a break and come and join me in the next video for the standard costing concepts we are going to start writing. And this chapter you all know we should write in the problems book. We should write in the problems book. Okay na? Chapter 12. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Have a short break and come for the next video. Keep smiling all of you. Thank you all of you.